Wow Nation, what's going on? It's your boy Mr. HD back with the blunt ratings for the January 5th edition of AEW Dynamite Stack Show. Pretty good show, but we're going to talk about it all right after the intro.
It's time for the Blunt Ratings. If this is your first time tuning in, this is how the Blunt Ratings work. We take each show and break them down into 5 categories: matches, promos and backstage segments, storytelling, commentary, and the crowd. For each category, each show can get up to 5 blunts. The average score of those 5 categories stands as the official Blunt Rating. Those are the rules. Now let's get right into tonight's edition of the Blunt Ratings.
We want the smoke.
Talk to him.
We want the smoke.
We want the smoke. Come on, Charlie.
So let's start with the matches. As always, the matches on Dynamite were pretty good. There were some interesting ones as well. Started off the show with Daniel Bryan getting his rematch for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, going up against Hangman Page. Obviously, they had a 1-hour time limit draw in their first match a few weeks ago, which was a 5-star class, 5 blunt classic, excuse me. So yeah, we were looking forward to this match. This match was half as long, but twice as physical, if that makes any sense. I guess that makes perfect sense. They beat the shit out of each other, is what I'm trying to say. I think Heyman was getting his arm like ripped off for the first half of the match. Then there was a segment where they were just like headbutting the shit out. Like, do they not know that Daniel Bryan has a history of? And it was a little uncomfortable. I ain't gonna lie, because Hangman was just like bow, 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 and then Daniel Bryan was bow, bow. I was like, no, stop. No, we don't. This isn't good. And maybe that's what they're playing into, that people know that, but I don't know. Made me a little uncomfortable to watch somebody who has a history of concussions, whose career almost ended from concussions, doing 75 headbutts during a match. It's just, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? We know what happened to Chris Benoit and other wrestlers. Man, that man has a family. I know it's fake. They're not really headbutting each other, but some of them joints got to connect at some point. I just hope they're okay. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Another match was a match that I enjoyed, probably my match of the night. You know what I mean? It was MJF versus Captain Sean Dean. Now, I don't know who Captain Sean Dean is really. Seen him a couple times. I don't really know anything about him, but he was there. He was hyped, ready for his match with MJF. But then CM Punk ran out and chased MJF off, trying to get at him, and then he kicked Captain Dean in the gut and gave him a GTS, causing Captain Dean to win by disqualification. And we'll get into that match a little bit more when we get to the storytelling portion of the show. We also had Jade Cargill. The match was shit. Just go ahead and put that out there. The match wasn't very good. Ruby Soho tried to carry it to a really good match, but I am still very proud of Jade for the tremendous leaps and bounds that she's made, being literally shoved into that spotlight when Shaq was around and AEW first started, based on how she looked and her athletic ability previously to being a pro wrestler. She's obviously super green, super duper green. There was a roll up attempt during the match at one point where it just looked bad at a couple spots during the match, but it wasn't a complete shit show. There's been way worse matches in AEW and other places. This match they got through it just fine. Ruby Soho is a fucking professional. You know what I mean? In every sense of the word. She carried that match as best she could. And they gave us, something that was decent. Probably 2.5 blunts as far as a match is concerned. But we got a brand new TBS champion in Jade Cargill. First TBS champion, obviously, because it's the new title, finals of the tournament, and it's a black woman that won. I think we all saw this coming. I don't think anybody thought that Ruby was going to come in and take this opportunity away. I think it made sense to have Ruby in the match because she's just getting there. Maybe they're trying to put her over, so you may believe that she could win. But Jade was always meant to win that. I don't think it's because of the thing that happened with Tony and him being a complete dickhead and having no ability to read a room or no sense of self-awareness and saying what he said in response to Big Swole. I might talk about it that at some point, but that kind of infuriated me. But I don't think that's why Jade won. I think she was always supposed to win, so good for her. As far as any other matches, Malachi Black kicked Brian Pillman Jr.'s head the fuck off. Like that was crazy. And obviously, the story that everybody's talking about. Uh, the Lucha Bros went up against Jurassic Express, and this match was amazing as you would expect it to be with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, Ray Phoenix, and Pentagon. These guys are all amazing inside the ring, all of them. I guess they're all luchas. I would consider Jungle Boy, sort of, lucha style wrestler. Obviously, Luchasaurus and the Lucha Bros. So the match was fun, fast paced. It reached a crescendo that I didn't even expect it to reach. And there was a spot where, oh man, this is so unfortunate. They put a table on the outside of the ring, set up a table, and the guys were battling. Luchasaurus was kind of on the ropes, looking like he was teetering and into getting put through the table. Then he grabbed Ray Phoenix over the rope and choke slammed him through the table from the ring apron. Now that's a spot that looks painful already. Just oh man, just literally visualizing it because I noticed it when it first happened. They didn't need to do the replay because when it first happened, I was like, "Oh no, that no arms don't bend that way." I saw it. It was gross, and I was horrified, and I was like, "Did that just happen?" Like I don't know if this. And then they did the replay, and I was like, "Oh, that just happened." And then they didn't do the replay no more because I think they all realized what had just happened at that point. You saw Penta calling or Ray call like, "Bruh, my arm, it's no good." So he was done at that point. He completely broke it because he did what you're not supposed to do when taking that. Like he's come on, man. You've been doing this too long, Ray. You can't try to brace yourself with your arm going down like that through a table. You got to trust the guy that's putting you through the table is going to make, and then you just got to pray because putting your arm down like that to try to catch your fall is asking to do exactly what happened. And it sucked, man. I felt so bad for that dude. It looked so horrific. Like his arm just bent at the elbow, but backwards. And it was, whew, that is not a pain I ever want to experience. You know what I mean? I'm gonna just say that. I don't whew, man. It looked like his elbow was dislocated more than his arm was broken, but they're saying it's a broken arm. Obviously, I think he probably got that joint probably got broken in a few spots because he landed with all his body pressure and Luchasaurus body pressure on top of him. Horrible, horrible injury. Please get well, Ray Phoenix. As you've heard me say on this channel, Wrestling on Weed 1.0, I've been saying it since we started. Ray Phoenix is one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet, if not the best. You know what I mean? It's like, I think I've convinced Two Face of that at this point, and I think there's other people who believe that he's right up there at the top for best wrestler on the face of the earth, and you never want to see something like this happen. Honestly, for all the injuries that could happen, I'm just happy it's not a leg. Leg injuries are way worse than arm injuries when it comes to being a professional wrestler or doing pretty much any sport outside of maybe boxing. I think still might be more important to have your legs in boxing. But yeah, so get well soon, Ray Phoenix. Jurassic Express won, which was the best part of the match. I think they were supposed to win. It just sucks that it is overshadowed by this injury thing. But shout out to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus who earned this opportunity and this win over the course of their AEW stint so far. So good job to those guys. But I gave the matches 4 blunts. I didn't really need that Warlow match. And as much as I love Jade Cargill, she is amazing to look at. She looks like a superhero in real life. She should be the new Captain Carter. She should be the multiverse Captain Carter in the Avengers. Cause she don't look real. She doesn't look real. She has muscles on top of muscles. Like I wouldn't want to date her. You know what I mean? But she's amazing to look at. She is a well sculpted human being. So shout out to her. She had her family there and her husband. I think that was her husband and her baby. Like, it was beautiful, man. I love seeing black people win in those situations, and it's getting a chance to be first at something. So that was pretty dope. Let's talk about these promos now, because there was one specifically that I'm pretty sure everybody wants to talk about. Before that, the Acclaim cut a promo. After that, Jericho was making fun of 2.0, calling him childish names and all that kind of shit until Daniel Garcia came out and attacked him. Red Dragon and Adam Cole seem to be on the same page, kinda. I'm not really sure if Red Dragon's feeling Adam Cole right now, but we'll see. Serena Deeb had a fire as promo with Jim Ross. She did like a sit down interview with Jim Ross, and she was going off on Hikaru Shida. She was like, "Yo, Jim, is anybody better than me? Can you name one person?" Jim was like, "I would say no." She was like, "That's what I thought. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to beat these bitches' ass. I hate them all." It was so fun. I've never seen Serena Deeb like that. I was like, "Yo, she's crazy. I like this woman. She's positioning herself to be a top women's star in AEW, to be right up there with Britt Baker and all those. She could be past Britt Baker because as far as wrestling ability, she's probably the best in the women's division. So did I say probably? She is the best in their women's division. So she keeps cutting promos like that. I think she's positioning herself perfectly to end up taking that title from Britt Baker or whoever is holding on to it. And then we'll get to this promo that, Lord Jesus, my feelings were hurt and no one was talking about me because MJF and CM Punk, after that whole little shenanigans with the match with Captain Dean, uh, they decided to pick up the mics, and MJF and CM Punk went at it once again. And it's the reason they booked this feud, and the reason they didn't need to wait or couldn't wait is because everybody knew it was going to be this good. Punk was like, "Yo, this was going to keep happening because I'm going to keep getting you disqualified. So you keep taking L's. It's going to be hard to fight for the championship if you keep taking L's." You know what I mean? So Punk's got a plan, great plan, to finally get his hands on MJF. It's just interfering all his matches until he stands still for a second. But MJF said that Punk was never good as Piper because Punk and MJ have been mentioning Piper's name a lot because people compare both of them to Roddy Piper. Rest in peace to the legend. But he was like, "Yo, I don't know why you think you Roddy Piper, bro, because unlike you, Piper actually main evented a WrestleMania." It's like the number one thing that everybody knows that upsets CM Punk about being in WWE. Like he had to, be mid card when he was the title holder behind people like Batista and John Cena and Triple H and all these, people like that. So, good burn, good burn. But CM Punk obviously had to come back because MJF had mentioned how maybe he'll go over to WWE and main event a WrestleMania. And Punk was like, "Oh, yeah, you think the grass is greener over there? Well, why don't you go over there and be on night 4 of a buy one, get one extravaganza and get cut faster than you last in the sack." Can't wait to see these two guys finally fight. It's going to be fire. CM Punk was like, "Yo, let's do it." MJF was like, "Bet. You get to fight Wardlow." It's like, wait a minute. But obviously CM Punk accepted because he's trying to get to MJF by any means. 4.5 blunts for promos and backstage segments. Now let's talk about the storytelling on the show. I think that I love the storytelling overall because obviously the MJF CM Punk shit that we've already talked about in excess was great. I love what they're doing with Serena Deeb. She deserves to be at the top of the women's roster because she's the best women's wrestler on the roster. So it makes sense. And she's coming into her own as a character and knowing who she is. She's basically the female Bret Hart. You know what I mean? That's basically her character at this point. And she's like the late WWF Bret Hart when he turned heel. You know what I mean? And he was just a badass and cussing people out and saying fuck America and shit like that. Like she's that version of Bret Hart. You know what I mean? So love what they're doing with Serena Deeb. And, Britt Baker and all those guys. I love everything that they're doing on AEW as far as the storytelling. Don't really care about Chris Jericho. I don't know what he's doing with 2.0. But I gave storytelling 3.75 overall for the night. Also, shout out one more time to Jade Cargill. So yeah, 3.75 for storytelling. Commentary. Well, commentary was pretty awesome, as they usually are. Shout out to JR, beat cancer. You the man, JR. So, you know, that's great. And then obviously Tony Schiavone, who is our Lord and Savior of commentary. No one is greater at the current time. I don't care about Pat McAfee or, Corey Graves or whoever you want to, I don't care. Tony Schiavone is the number one pro wrestling commentator right now, hands down. Uh, at one point, MJF was saying how he made CM Punk relevant. Like Tony's timing is just immaculate. He was like, I call bullshit on that. I was like, yo, they let the commentators curse. This show is amazing. Like it's just the wrestlers and the commentators. Like, well, we apologize to the audience for, they got to play that role, but no, not on AEW. The AEW, Jim Ross says, "Are you ready for some cowboy shiznit?" I'm like, I don't know if I should be offended by that or not, but I like it. I don't know. Commentary, I gave 4.5 blunts. Great job, guys. The crowd gets 5 blunts. High energy all night. Loved it. So that's 4.35 for the first ever Dynamite on the TBS network. Yeah, it's looking like AEW has a lot of big things planned for 2022. And I, for one, am excited to see what they got coming. What's Daniel Bryan going to do next after losing to Hangman Page twice in a row? Is he going to lean into being a bad guy, being a heel? What's going on there? There's so much to talk about when it comes to AEW wrestling right now. So appreciate you guys watching. That's a 4.35 for Dynamite this week. A gold badge. I don't think anyone is surprised by that. Get well soon, Ray Phoenix, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.